Alright, so I'm creating this video for those who are already working on JavaScript. Since JavaScript is a language is most confusing, you will find so many exceptions. I understand people who are working or might be confident like how JavaScript works, how they write code, how it gets executed. They understand the code flow and everything, but I'm going to touch upon the basic steps how JavaScript engine works. There are chances that you might not be aware of these concepts, or even if you are aware, it may help you understand JavaScript more better properly. Alright, so just what I'm gonna do right now, I have opened a drawing. I don't know what we call it, Excalibur. Okay, I have this thing with me. Alright, so I will be okay. Let me rephrase it. Show JavaScript foundation. All right. Okay. So, how JavaScript works? So, in browser, we have JS engines. No one knows how it works. But we can predict how it might be working, depending on like how our code gets executed. Internally has it has JavaScript execution environment. It has managed memory as well. Memory and execution environment. Okay, what is this managed memory? So it's part of heap memory. That is also part of RAM, right? Random access memory. All right. So let's take an example, then we'll try to understand the core concepts of it as well. I'll just take a very basic example. Let's start with const a equal to 10. All right. So, and I'll write a console log here. All of us know like how it might be working, what it will print, right? So basically JavaScript works in two phases. The first one is memory creation, and second one is execution. All right. Okay, so sometimes we also call it hoisting. So initially when hoisting happens, okay, so we'll understand about this as well. All right, so here let's say this is our code snippet and we have just written it directly on file, and we are trying to run it. When we run our file, these codes which you see at the top level gets executed directly. You don't need to call a function or something. So what will happen in the memory creation phase? So basically when we run a file, what will happen? So it will create a uh, global context. All right, so it can be like a stack, and this will have lexical environment, global lexical environment. Okay, global lexical environment. It's just the structure means the where the code is written. So right now it is at top level, that's why it is called global lexical environment. And this global lexical environment will have some records in the sense it will create some records. It's more like key value pair or table. You can correlate with anything for bindings. And now it might be getting confusing. What is binding? So binding is nothing, it's just a variable and value, key value pair binding, right? So here if you see const a equal to, I'll okay, so const a equal to 10. So at the time of memory creation, it will just look for those where it needs to create memory. So it will ignore this console and console.log, since it is a function call. Right now at the for line number 1, it sees it needs to create a variable here. It needs to create a memory for this. So, and it is initialized with const. So in case of const or late, what happens, it keeps the value as uninitialized, right? And when the value is uninitialized, it is called TDZ, temporal dead zone. Okay, so let me write dead zone. Okay, now we have this temporal dead zone. So when a variable or any function definition or variable whatever is in temporal dead zone, no one can access it, right? It knows that it exists, other code will know that it exists here, but it cannot access it, right? So it's in temporal dead zone, TDZ. And when it will be in TDZ, when we have uninitialized. And why it kept uninitialized? The reason behind that, in case of const or late, it will in case of during the memory creation phase, it doesn't look for this value, it just start with this, and means it has record a that is right now uninitialized, and it will keep track of it. And memory execution, what I mean in code execution, it will put actual value here, right? So right now it in TDZ, it no one can access it, and so we don't have any more variable or anything to put it in the record. So it will now skip to memory execution part. Now in memory execution, as you saw in previously in memory creation, a was uninitialized. Now it will put 10. This is 10. Okay, and now in console log, next console log will execute, and then it will output 10. What would have happened if we would have reversed it? Let's say console dot log a and const a equal to 10. Now you can just directly look at the code and answer it, but thinking about the process, how JavaScript works, what do you think how it would give output? So let's say here console log, first in the memory creation phase, I will just write creation in short, and here execution. All right, so in memory creation phase, as you see, first line of code is console.log. It will skip this since this is a function call. Now it needs to initialize, it needs to add memory for a, so it will have a lexical environment records, and it will create a binding for a with uninitialized. Now this is in TDZ, means no one can access it. Alright, in execution environment, I mean in execution phase, I'm just writing a copy of it. First comes console log. Okay, just I want to delete this. Alright, so first comes console log. So in console log it says it cannot access A, so it will give reference error. Either it will say it cannot access A, or it will say it is not defined. A is not defined, right? And then next what will happen, it will assign value to A. If we would have had here some what we say, some console log printing A, then it would have resulted it as 10. I can show you this in here as well. Let me just open a new tab. Alright, and I'll go in console. I'll write const I'll just type console.log A, and then console const A equal to 10, right? And now I will try to print it. Now it is giving reference error, A is not defined. Okay, it is giving reference what I said. It's exactly what I said, right? So this is the way it works. Now let's change a bit. uh, I mean in the code. So we could have had here late as well. Alright, now I'll just use some other text color, and hold on for a second. Okay, now this is about where A equal to 20 and console log A. Right, now let's look at both phase 1, phase 2. In phase 1, where we have a table, so in case of where, what happens, it actually creates a record bindings with undefined. It will go and check if there's a binding exists. No, it will add a record for A with the value undefined. Okay, it's not like uninitialized, it's had a proper value undefined. So since it is not in it has since it doesn't have a value uninitialized, it's not in temporal dead zone, so other can access it, right? Now in phase 2, in execution phase, all right, what will happen, first it will try to print console log. So for console log, it will just print undefined, and then it will assign value 20 here, right? So we can check this as well here. Let me refresh this phase, and console.log A, and A where A equal to 20. Now we have this undefined. Okay, all right, let's make this little bit more confusing, more challenging. Okay, how it might be working in case of functions. So I'll take some different color. Functions. All right, so in case of function, let's take an example. const a equal to 10, const b equal to 20, and function sum here av. Now return here a plus b. Okay, now we'll close this function syntax and we can call this sum. Okay, here, or what I'm gonna do, I'll not call it here, I'll call it here console dot log sum ab. Now how it would work, how it will work, ideally if you see av sum, I don't know, you will think like some will be working here, will be able to execute it, but how this might be working, let's take let's have a closer look at the two different phases. uh, Here creation and execution, right? Now at the creation, a lexical environment will be created, records, it will create a records of bindings, right? And if we look into, if we check line by line, so here it needs memory initialization, memory creation, so it will have a record for a, as we know, uninitialized for latent const, it will start with uninitialized, right? And these two will be in TDZ, temporal dead zone. Now this is a function call, it will skip it, and then it comes function keyword. So function keyword is more like where, so but it differs in where it will store data. So generally in case of where, it starts with undefined, right, here in the records, but in case of function keyword, it will actually have memory reference. And for I mean, what is this memory reference, what is this coming from, whose memory reference is this? So here uh, actually this is the memory reference for this function sum ab, and this gets stored in heap memory, right? Okay, so since it has binding for complete function right now at the beginning itself, so it knows like what is the memory. It is we have initialized the binding as well, we created the binding, we also initialized the binding. Here it is not initialized, we have created the binding, I mean JavaScript has created the binding, but here in this case it has also initialized the bindings as well. Since it has the value, it has the memory reference, so we can also call it, it is fully hoisted. In where, in case of where, we say it is hoisted, but it's completely hoisted actually. Now in case of execution, what will happen, let's see, at line number here 3, it will try to log this. Since it has it is fully hoisted, it has access to the function, it can directly print it. Okay, so the value will be 30 here, and yeah, this will be the value here. But and let's say let's see the step by step. I'll create a table here again. I can overwrite it here, but I'm creating the table here again. The value of a will be 10 at the time of execution. Value of b will be 20, and then it comes then it will execute the console and console log. We already have this some memory reference. It is already initialized, so it will just print 30. Let's try it out in log here. Okay, so what was the code? Const a equal to 10. Okay, const b equal to 20. Console.log sum ab and function sum ab return a plus b. I think this should work. Okay, let me just refresh this page and then execute it. You see, we are getting 30. Okay, now we'll change the bit in this code. We'll make it something else. Will not completely change it, but it will make it something else here. Let me choose some other color. Okay, fine. Now we earlier had const a and const b equal to 20. Console log dot log sum a minus a hyphen b, a comma b, since this is a function, and then we are creating function differently. Const sum, let's make it arrow function, ab and then a plus b. Simple. How this will work? Any idea? So let's see how it will behave in both the phases of JavaScript. Okay, I'll create a record table here, and this table is created by the JavaScript engine under the lexical environment, and this will be under the global context, right? And we call it records. It could be something like table. Okay, so for a, again I will write it in short form, uninitialized, v uninitialize, and then it comes sum, const sum, it will also be uninitialized, since this is a const variable, right? Now in execution phase, I'll create this table again. So what is happening? A will get the value 10, b will get the value 20, and when it will try to log this, after this it will try to log it, it is in TDZ, right? It is in TDZ, temporal dead zone. So what will happen? It will again get reference error. Sum is not defined, right? So let's try it out. I will change this function to const equal to, and this would be the arrow function, and let me refresh this page, and sum is not defined, right? So we are getting this. Let's make it more complex and difficult. Try to understand how things work if we try to have same name variable initialization or function initialization. Okay, so I'm gonna choose some other color. Okay, so this time I'm gonna take an example. Let me write something like const foo, or do this way, function foo. Okay, return something like function anything. It's not related to the type or something. And let's say we have var foo equal to 10, right? I'm just gonna type it console dot log type of foo, and here console dot log type of foo. What do you think it will output? So ideally we'll think like this foo should be defined in function. In case of function, this should return foo, but you can also think like since this is over writing it here, so it could be both number as well. What do you think? Take few seconds, pause the video, and then think about it. Do not check it in console. And now let's try to solve this with the help of JavaScript, by the understanding of the JavaScript execution, and I mean JavaScript phases, running phases. So let's say memory creation and execution. All right, and so this will have a lexical environment, and it will have records here, records, bindings, we'll call it bindings, and let's see step by step. So the first thing which it needs to define is foo function. So here in foo, as we have seen with the function keyword, it actually keeps everything in the heap memory. So this foo will go in heap memory, okay, in heap, and its memory reference will come here. All right, and when it will come here, it will see this is already defined, so it will skip the binding creation. So, at the time of creating this binding, since it is already defined, it will skip the binding creation. And now let's come to here. The first line here is console log type of foo, and since it is fully hoisted, right, it will just uh, it will try to type of foo, and it knows this is a function, right? So it will print function, and after this line it will come to this line, and will try to assign the value of foo here, and it will replace the value with the 10. It skipped the binding creation, but it cannot skip the initialization of it. So it needs to assign the value, and it has overwritten the memory reference with the value 10 here directly. It won't be in the heap memory. Since primitive data types, we don't store it in the heap memory. We only store it. I mean, it's not we. I mean, JavaScript engines, how it works is it stores objects and functions in heap memory, and rest of the thing like primitive data types get stored in lexical environment structure. And now we'll say what is lexical environment. It's this the way the I mean where the code is written. It's part of managed memory of JavaScript engine. And what is managed memory? It is again part of heap memory somewhere in the RAM. Okay, now when this line will come, it will actually print here number. Do you want to try it out and see? I'll refresh this page and try it out. Same thing. What was the code? Console log type of foo, and then function foo return function. I'm writing same thing so that you don't say here I've written something else. Then where foo equal to 10 and console.log type of foo. Let's try to run this. Okay, and as you see here, it came function then number, right? All right, so we can have different examples here as well. What we can have next is, let's say we have if block. Okay, so console log a, here we have function, we name it something like test. Okay, inside text we are trying to console log. I don't know what I'm writing. I will remove line if I find something like is doesn't make sense. Then I remove a, and where a equal to 10. Okay, here I will just run test. Okay, all right, now we have two console log here. I have not tried this code in console, but let's try to find out the result with the help of how JavaScript engine works, and we can verify whether our concept is wrong or right. So let's see both the phases, creation and what is this, execution. Got it. Next, lexical environment, right, and records. So the bindings, here what bindings will have for test, actually test will have the bindings. Here we have memory reference. This test will get created in heap memory, right? This test will get created in heap memory, and okay, and next at the time of execution, when we call this test, what will happen, it will create test context, execution context, sorry, execution, and then it will create test lexical environment, and then it will have records for it. Yeah, so again it will run in two phases. From here we are calling it, so calling it means it goes in two phases: memory creation and then execution. So every time we call any function, it goes in two phases, it executes in two phases: creation and then execution. So in creation of this function, um, it will have just this one, a undefined. We have seen it earlier, right? In case of variable inside this test records, this will have a undefined. But if we see line by line at the time execution, first it will try to log console a. Before calling this function, it will try to log console a, and we don't have a here, right? We don't have a here. So what will happen in this case? Ideally it should be undefined, sorry, error. First it will throw error, then it will call this function, and it will have this records. It will add this records in execution of text method. What will happen? It will try to do console log and see what will be the output. So here output will be undefined, since right now it can access just undefined value. And then in record it will update 20. What was that? 10. Okay, so I believe this should first throw error, and if we remove this console log from here, then it will print undefined. Okay, let's try it out. I don't know if I'm able to explain it properly. So I'm also writing it the first time, that's why it's there. So let me just check what I have written it here. So I will refresh this page and I will write console.log a, then I will write function test, and what is this, a equal to where console.log a, where a equal to 10, and then test. I think it should throw error. Okay, it is not throwing error, right? And why? So it won't work. Let's take some other variable name. Okay, since it had something here on is already defined in Windows, so it is creating some problem. So let's do one thing. I'll just use same example, A112 here, A112, and now try to execute it. Now you see A112 is not defined. So this is going to happen since here in the global execution we don't have this variable at all, right? Let's say if I comment this line or just remove it, it will happen. Now when this function will be called, it will run in two phases: creation and then execution. At the time of creation, it will initialize, it will create binding for A112 with undefined, and when it will come in the execution phase, it will just print undefined. What would have happened if it was it would have been here const or let, it would have resulted in error again. Okay, so this was it from the video. I have so many examples here. I've kept it here as well. In JavaScript, I've created a snippet. Actually, I have so many examples here. But the video is already too long, so I'm keeping it. I'm just finishing it right now. If you will like it, I will have one more video on it to cover all the edge cases. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.